Hey, friends, you have to create the future you want. That's going to be our theme, devotional idea from Matthew 5, verse 9. You should read Matthew's chapter 5, 6 and 7. We're just going to read 5, 9, and then talk about this idea of creating the future that we want. Here's what it says: Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. See, I think that we all wish that we could live in a world to where there was no violence, there was no animosity, there was no division, but that's just not the world that we live in. I wish I could remember where I heard this quote. I think it was one of the Sherlock Holmes like series, maybe it was House, something like that. But somebody approached the main character, whoever it was, and said, "You don't need the money. Why do you keep working so hard to solve all of this?" And the reply was, "I work to create a world worth living in." And I love that. I think that's fantastic. That takes on the element of personal responsibility that we have to do, our part. We've got to do our thing. But it also just says that there actually is a world that is worth living in, and it's worth fighting for. Used to be they'd have the Miss America pageant, and every contestant would say, if you won, what would you do? I want world peace, right? And as much as, I don't care for him, but when asked, who do you support, Russia or Ukraine? Um, Trump said, I support people not killing each other. That I am for, but it's the world that we live in. There's something that's in you and there's something that's in me that knows that we should be peaceful, but we also realize it's just probably not going to be our reality. There's too many egos at stake. There's too many leaders fighting over power and resources. There's too much money to be made from war. See, people want, you know, from physical violence. There's a huge call for people to get their land back. But how far back do we go? Do we go back 10 years or 50 years or 100 years? Because those are all different maps. It's funny that there was an ice cream company a few years ago that put out a statement that corporations need to, if they were built on Native American land, they need to give it back to those tribes. And then somebody looked up where that corporation was from and found that they were on tribal land of a tribe that was still in existence. And so the obvious question was, were you guys going to go first? There was no reply. See, we want peace, but what we want is we want the other person to make peace with us. And again, it's not how it goes. I can't even keep peace consistently inside my house, much less figure out a plan to solve all the world's boundary issues. And then Jesus, he looks at a group of people that has zero political standing, and he says, I want you guys to be peacemakers. And they're going, we have nothing. We've got no weapons. We've got no power. How are we supposed to do this? But he would teach. You turn the other cheek. You go the extra mile. You give freely when someone's trying to take from you. And all of that was a call to end the violence. When someone's trying to take advantage of you, you just let them. When someone's trying to rob you, just give it. Let the violence stop with you. Later on, one of Jesus's followers would say, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, you live at peace with everyone. That's Romans 12:8. You do what you can to not cause more chaos. See, but the writer also understood that sometimes it's just not possible, because he says, if it is possible, right? Some well-meaning followers of Jesus, what we tend to do is we give a half-hearted attempt to not cause a fight. But if someone picks one with us, we tend to strike out right back. And that's not what Jesus said. His death on the cross was proof that it's better to die peacefully than to perpetuate the violence. When Peter tried to cut the ear, or when he cut the ear off of a Roman soldier before they took him away, Jesus taught, if you live by the sword, you're going to die by the sword. See, the secret to creating a world worth living in is that you've got to create it inside your soul. I don't think it's possible to create world peace until maybe heaven. I do know that you can have peace and all the other fruits of the Spirit, right? Galatians 5, inside of you. See, if you're going to create a world worth living in, it starts not all around you, it starts in here. It starts by creating guardrails that we talked about in the last video and having a buffer of these fruits of the Spirit. So when evil tries to get in, it tries to get at you, it tries to get in your head, it tries to get in your heart, it tries to get in your soul, you've got all this buffer of the fruits of the Spirit around you so that it might get in, but it's not going to get back out. You're going to absorb it, give it to Jesus, and he's going to take it out of existence. See, how do you create a world worth living in? You become as much like Jesus as you can. And when people ask why you don't fight back, you get to tell them about him. You have to create the future that you want, not by imposing it on other people, but by becoming it and then sharing it. And it has to be in that order. Sorry for the long video. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.